Good morning. We are continuing on in our reading of the book of James this morning. We are in chapter 5, and we are going to be reading verses 7 through 12. So the Bible says, "Therefore be patient, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. Behold, the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the soil, being patient about it until it receives the early and late rains. You too be patient. Strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. Do not groan, brothers, against one another, so that you yourselves may not be judged. Behold, the judge is standing right at the door. As an example, brothers, of suffering and patience, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Behold, we count those blessed who persevere. You have heard of the perseverance of Job, and have seen the outcome of the Lord's dealings, that the Lord is full of compassion and is merciful. But above all, my brothers, do not swear either by heaven or by earth or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no, no, so that you may not fall under judgment." So, James is continuing here. We talked yesterday about the misuse of a person's life, particularly people who misuse wealth and the things, material things of this world. And Job kind of switches gears here, and he says, therefore means because of all of this, everything that we talked about before. James says, therefore, because of that, be patient. And, MacArthur's commentary says that this is a reference to people who maybe have been oppressed by sinful people, by rulers who are unjust and corrupt, rich people who have withheld wages, that kind of thing. He said, because of this, be patient, brothers, until the coming of the Lord. So again, the emphasis is on a believer's behavior, how he should act, and how he should be patient. And of course, these things, patience is extremely hard, especially for me. I think things should happen rather quickly, and sometimes they take time, more time than I would like. And I'm sure there's many of you out there that probably have the same feeling about patience and about stuff happening and things happening in time. But what's interesting next is that James points to a farmer. He says, the farmer waits for the precious fruit of the soil, being patient about it until it receives the early and late rains. And so, reading the commentary this morning, the early and late rains, the early rain comes around October, November. And what this does, you got to remember, this is Israel. This is an arid land. It's very unforgiving. I've not been to Israel, but I've been to the Middle East. And the ground is very hard, and it's just, like I said, unforgiving, unyielding. But when these rains come in October and November, it softens up the ground. And what that allows the farmer to do is to plant his seed for his harvest, whatever he's planting, whether it be wheat or any kind of vegetables or whatnot that he's planting for a harvest. And then now, that's the early rain. The latter rain comes in March, April. And when that rain comes, it is just before the time of the harvest of those vegetables that he planted way back in October and November. So during this time, a farmer spends his life waiting on the early rain so he could plant the fruit or the food that is going to yield a harvest in March, April, maybe May, and feed his family. And so think about the patience of a farmer. How long he has to wait to provide food for his family, whether he's feeding them straight from the yield of the harvest, or if he's selling that harvest and buying food, whatever the case is, he still has to wait on the rain to soften the earth, and then on the rain that'll spring up the harvest. And that is a long period of time to wait. And so James is telling us here to be like the farmer. Be patient. Know that October and November is coming. where you can when you can plant your seed, and then know and be patient that March, April is coming, and you can receive the harvest of the fruits of your labor. So just an interesting illustration that James uses here on that. It says, you too, like the farmer, verse 8, you too be patient and strengthen your hearts, for the coming of the Lord is at hand. What does it mean to strengthen your heart? Well, it means that you have to stand up and be strong. You can't fall to temptation. You can't fall to oppression. The farmer can't lay down in the dirt and just roll around and cry and scream and pound the earth and make the harvest come forth. No amount of complaining or temper tantrums will cause the harvest to come forth. You have to be patient. You have to wait on the timing of the Lord. It says to strengthen your hearts because the coming of the Lord is at hand. The Lord will be returning for his bride, for his church, at a time that nobody knows. So it could happen tomorrow. It could happen tonight. It may happen years from now. We don't know that, but we don't know when that'll happen, but we know that it's going to happen. So we hope for that, and we have our faith in that return of the Lord. Verse 9 says, do not groan, brothers, against one another, so that you yourselves may not be judged. Again, and he's gonna bring this home in verse 12. So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time there. Words. Again, James is talking about the tongue and what you say and all this. It's important that you monitor and you filter what you say and how you say it. Verse 10, as an example, brothers of suffering and patience, take the prophets who spoke in the name of the Lord. Behold, we count those blessed who persevere. And you have heard of the perseverance of Job and have seen the outcome of the Lord's dealings, that the Lord is full of compassion and is merciful. I want to sit right there for just a second. I'm reading through the book of Job right now in my devotion time in the mornings, and actually just started that yesterday. And what's interesting to me is that, after chapter 2, the devil disappears from the story. Satan disappears from the story altogether. From chapter 2 on, you've got Job dealing with the results of this back and forth between God and Satan. Excuse me. And so he's dealing with the loss of all of his children, the loss of all of his stuff. The only thing that was left behind was a woman who told him to curse God and die. And then he's got these 3 friends who start out comforting him and doing what a friend should do. But over time, as Job was crying out in his suffering, they became impatient and started, pointing the finger a little bit. You sure you didn't sin? You sure this isn't a result of you doing something evil? So, and Job dealt with this whole thing of losing everything, including his children. I mean, can you imagine losing your children and being, you having all this stuff that is part of your livelihood and part of, even part of your identity in the land, and you lose all this stuff. And so James is using Job as an example of perseverance. How he persevered through all of that. He never cursed God. He never, complained. He kind of complained against him, but he didn't curse God. He didn't lose his integrity in believing who God was or is. As it says here, the Lord is full of compassion and is merciful. That is the character of God. It's part of the character of God. He's also wrathful and jealous and all those things. So part of the characteristics of God is that he's compassionate and merciful. And so we can lean in on that, knowing that God will take care of us. And he is compassionate towards us. He is merciful towards us. And when we go through the loss of all of our stuff, or the loss of our family, or the dry times between the early and the latter rains, we can strengthen ourselves in knowing that God is compassionate and merciful. Verse 12. But above all, my brothers, do not swear either by heaven or earth or with any other oath, but let your yes be yes and your no, no, so that you may not fall under the judgment. He closes this out with, again, what are you saying? What are you talking about? Are you monitoring your tongue? Are you filtering the things that you say? Do not swear either by heaven or by earth or any other oath. None of this stuff belongs to us. Everything belongs to God. How can we swear by something that is not ours? You can't. And so it's empty and it's meaningless and it's vain to swear by heaven or earth or any other thing or any other oath, simply because none of it belongs to us. So you can't swear by anything and it be a legitimate oath. And so James is saying, don't swear by either heaven or earth, but let your yes be yes, be plain, be straight, be to the point, right? Don't gray area anything. Somebody asks you to do something and you're not willing to do it, say no. But if you're willing to do it, say yes and do it. Don't put it off. Just let your yes be yes and your no be no, so that you may not fall under the judgment. Now, I want to say this. Sometimes people, will ask somebody something, and especially Christians, and Christians will say, well, let me pray about it. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with praying about a serious decision or, something like that is really important. But I think that sometimes Christians get too far over on that, and they have to pray about everything, right? They have to pray about everything. Can you give me a ride to the gas station? Well, let me pray about it. Well, that doesn't help the person right then and there, right? I'm hungry. Do you have some food you could share with me? Well, let me pray about it. Come on. There's some things that you can just make a decision on, right? You could say, yes, I have food. I have plenty of food and you can have some. Or you could say, no, I have no food. I'm sorry. But see, you got to be straight and to the point. You got to temper what you say and not play games, not groaning, not complaining and all that, but also playing games with your words is not beneficial to yourself or to the hearer of your words. So we want to be straight and to the point. We want our yes to be yes and our no to be no and nothing in between. So that you may not fall under the judgment. So I'm going to stop there this morning. We should probably finish this book out tomorrow morning. If you have any comments or prayer requests, please put those in the comment section below. Also, if you want to catch up with where we're at, if you have not been with us the whole time, there's a playlist on my channel called Lessons in James. You can go in there. All of these videos are in there. You can check those out. Again, prayer requests are welcome. I'd love to pray for you. Anything that you're praying about currently, that you're petitioning the Lord about, I'd love to join you in that. Also, if you have any questions, please put those in the comments as well. So, I hope this is encouraging to you, and I hope that it's been instructive as well. And so I hope you have a blessed day. Love on one another and live out your faith.